Before we start, drop your thoughts in the comments after watching. It really helps the channel. I knew my wife was cheating. Not because I caught her. Not because I saw messages. But because she changed one thing and thought I wouldn't notice. She stopped asking where I was. And that might sound small. But it isn't. For years, she always knew my schedule. Always asked, "Where are you? When are you home? Are you working late?" Not because she cared. Because she needed to know. But then suddenly, she didn't. No questions. No check-ins. Nothing. And that's when I knew. Because people don't stop asking questions unless they already know the answers. Or worse, they don't need to care anymore. That was the moment I understood something simple. This wasn't random. This wasn't a phase. This was planned. So I didn't ask her. I didn't confront her. Because confronting someone like that only helps them. It gives them time. Time to lie. Time to adjust. Time to fix their mistakes. And I wasn't going to give her that. So I did the opposite. I played normal. Better than normal. If anything, I became predictable. Same routine. Same timing. Same version of me she thought she understood. Because if she believed I was clueless, she would get comfortable. And comfortable people make mistakes. That's all I needed. Mistakes. The first one came fast. 3 days later. She told me she had dinner with friends. Didn't even look at me when she said it. That detail mattered. Because when people lie, they don't hold eye contact. I nodded. Didn't question it. Didn't react. Just said, "All right, have fun." And that threw her off. Just a little. Because she expected something. A reaction. A question. But I gave her nothing. And that's when I knew I was right. So I let her leave. Watched her grab her bag. Her phone. Her keys. Everything she thought she needed. Except, she forgot one thing. She left her smartwatch on the kitchen counter. And that was her mistake. Because it was still connected. To everything. Messages. Location. Calls. All of it. I didn't rush. Didn't panic. I waited. 10 minutes. Just enough time. Then I picked it up. And looked. At first, nothing unusual. Just notifications. Apps. Normal stuff. Then I opened messages. And there it was. Not saved. No name. Just a number. But the conversation wasn't new. It wasn't even recent. It was active. Consistent. Familiar. Like two people who didn't need to explain anything anymore. I didn't read everything. I didn't need to. Because you can tell what something is without reading every word. Tone tells you enough. And the tone was clear. This wasn't the beginning. This was routine. I locked the screen. Put the watch back exactly where it was. And sat down. Not angry. Not shocked. Just focused. Because now I had confirmation. And confirmation changes everything. It removes doubt. And once doubt is gone, you stop reacting. You start planning. That night, she came home late. Smiling. Relaxed. Like she had a good time. She kissed me. Asked how my evening was. Played her role perfectly. But now, I could see it. The gaps. The timing. The ease. And the best part? She had no idea. None. Because to her, I was still the same. Still predictable. Still safe. Still blind. And that was her biggest mistake. Because now, I wasn't trying to catch her. I was building something. Something precise. Something final. Because if she wanted to play games, I wasn't going to stop her. I was going to let her play. Until she couldn't anymore. And what I was about to do next was going to make sure of that. Once you have confirmation, everything changes. Not emotionally, logically. Because now you're not guessing anymore. You're working with facts. And facts give you control. That night, after she went to sleep, I didn't lie there thinking about it. I didn't replay anything. I didn't question myself. I got up. Quietly. Took her smartwatch again. And this time, I went deeper. Messages weren't enough. I needed context. Patterns. Timing. So I checked everything. Call logs. App activity. Location history. And that's where it got interesting. Because she wasn't random. She was consistent. Same days, same hours. Late afternoons. Right when I was at work. Predictable. That was her mistake. Because predictable is trackable. I zoomed into the map. Looked at the locations. At first glance, nothing obvious. Just different parts of the city. But then I noticed something. One place kept showing up. Over and over. Not every time. But often enough. A specific area. A few blocks wide. That was enough. I didn't need an exact address. I just needed a starting point. I put the watch back. Went back to bed. And slept. Not because I didn't care. Because I already knew what I was going to do. The next day, I followed the pattern. Not her. The pattern? She left around the same time. Said she had plans. Didn't elaborate. Didn't need to. I nodded. Same reaction as always. Because the less you react, the more people relax. And relaxed people get sloppy. I waited. 15 minutes. Then I left. Drove straight to that area. Parked. And watched. Not randomly. Strategically. Because if she was following a routine, she'd show up. And she did. Right on time. Her car turned the corner. Slowed down. Parked. Like she had done it 100 times before. No hesitation. No checking around. Just confidence that told me everything. This wasn't new. I stayed in the car. Watched. Didn't move. Because the moment you rush, you lose information. And I wasn't there to react. I was there to learn. A few minutes passed. Then I saw him. He walked out of a building. Casual. Relaxed. Like he knew exactly who he was about to meet. He didn't look around. Didn't hesitate. Just walked straight to her car. Opened the passenger door. And got in. No words. No pause. That part mattered. Because it meant this wasn't awkward. This wasn't new. This was normal for them. I leaned back slightly. Took a breath, not to calm down. To think clearly. Because now I had a face. A place. A pattern. And that's when something clicked. This wasn't just about catching them. That part was already done. This was about leverage. Because the more I knew, the less power she had. And the more control I had. They stayed in the car for a few minutes. Talking. Laughing. Comfortable. Then she drove off. And I followed. Not close. Not obvious. Just enough. She didn't go far. Just a few streets. Then pulled into a small parking lot. Behind a building. Quiet. Hidden. Of course it was. They got out. Walked inside together, like it was routine. Like it was scheduled. Like it belonged in their day. I checked the time. Again. Noting it. Locking it in. Because details matter. And now I had everything I needed. Not just proof. Structure. Which is better. Because proof shows what happened. Structure shows how it works. And once you understand how something works, you can break it. I didn't follow them inside. Didn't need to. Because I wasn't trying to catch a moment. I was building a full picture. And I had enough. For now. I drove home. Got there before she did. Sat on the couch. Same spot. Same routine. When she walked in, she smiled. Like always. Like nothing had happened. But this time, I smiled back. Because now, I wasn't guessing anymore. I wasn't reacting. I was ahead. And the best part? She had no idea. Not even close. Because to her, I was still the same man. Still predictable. Still safe. Still blind. And that was exactly where I needed her to be. Because what I was about to do next wasn't about catching her. It was about ending it. Completely. On my terms. Once you understand the pattern, you stop chasing moments. You start mapping systems. And that's exactly what I did. The next few days, I didn't follow her every time. I didn't need to. Because once you see how something works, you don't need to watch it constantly. You just need to confirm it. So I checked the watch again. Not the messages. The history. Locations. Timing. And that's when it became obvious. This wasn't just one place. There were two. Different parts of the city. Alternating days. Same time window. That wasn't random. That was structured. And that meant something else. He wasn't the only one. I leaned back. Looked at the screen. And for a second, I just processed it. Not emotionally. Logically. Because once you accept something like that, you stop asking, why? And you start asking, how many? So I tested it. Next day. Different time. Different location. I went there early. Parked. Waited. And right on schedule, another car pulled up. Not the same guy. Different. Same confidence. Same routine. He walked straight inside. Like he had been there before. Because he had. And that's when it locked in. This wasn't an affair. This was a system. A schedule. A rotation. Carefully built. Carefully maintained. And completely hidden. At least, that's what she thought. I sat there for a few minutes. Watching. Thinking. Because now, this wasn't about emotion anymore. It was about structure. And structure can be broken. But only if you understand it completely. So I kept digging. Not in her phone. Not directly. That would be sloppy. I used what she forgot. The watch. Connected apps. Small details. Everything people assume no one checks. And that's where I found it. A note. Not obvious. Not labeled. Just a list. Times. Initials. Days. At first, it didn't make sense. But then I matched it. With locations. With calls. With what I had seen. And it clicked. It wasn't random. It was organized. Names reduced to initials. Time slots. Days. Like a schedule. Not of a relationship. Of access. I stared at it for a long time. Because that was the moment everything changed. Not because it hurt. Because it simplified everything. There was no confusion left. No gray area. Just clarity. Cold. Clean. Final. I put the watch back. Exactly where it was. Sat down. And thought about what to do next. Because now, I had something more valuable than proof. I had the system itself. And if you understand a system, you don't react to it. You control it. That night, she came home. Same energy. Same smile. Same. She sat next to me. Close. Comfortable. Like nothing in her world had changed. But everything had. Because now, I wasn't part of her system anymore. I was outside of it. Looking in. And that gave me an advantage. I looked at her for a second. Then looked away. Because the truth is, at that point, I wasn't even angry. I was done. And when you're done, you don't argue. You don't explain. You don't ask for answers. You decide how it ends. And I already knew. I wasn't going to confront one person. Or one lie. I was going to collapse everything. At once. Not messy. Not loud. Precise. Because if she built this over time, then I was going to end it. In one moment. And the best part? She had no idea. Not even close. Because to her, everything was still working perfectly. Still controlled. Still hidden. Still safe. And that was exactly what I needed. Because the moment she realized what was happening, it would already be too late. The moment you understand the system, you stop reacting to it. You decide how it ends. By that point, I wasn't guessing anymore. I wasn't watching. I knew everything I needed to know. Days, times, locations, names, patterns, enough to see the full structure. And once you see it clearly, there's only one way to break it. At the point of overlap. That's where every system fails. So I waited. Not impatiently. Not emotionally. Precisely. Because if you move too early, you lose control. And control was the only thing that mattered. A few days later, everything lined up. 2 different time slots. Too close together. 2 different locations. Same window. That was enough. That was the moment. That morning, I left like always. Same routine. Same version of me she thought she understood. But this time, I didn't go far. I stayed close. Watched. 10:41. First car. Pulled in. Right on schedule. He walked inside. Confident. Relaxed. Exactly like the others. I checked the time. 10:56. Second one was already on the way. I could see it. Because I knew where to look. I stepped out of my car. Walked toward the second guy. Calm. Direct. "You're here for her, right?" I asked. He hesitated. Then nodded. Of course he did. They always do. I gave a small nod. Good. Come with me. No explanation. No emotion. Just certainty. And that's all it took. Because confidence makes people follow. I walked him straight to the first location. Didn't knock right away. Waited a second. Then opened the door. And stepped inside. They didn't expect that. Of course they didn't. Because in their system, I didn't exist at that time. But now I did. And everything broke. Instantly. The first guy looked up. Confused. Then saw me. Then saw the second one behind me. And in that moment, there were no roles left. No separation. No illusion. Just reality. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't rush. Didn't react. Because this wasn't chaos. This was execution. Looks like scheduling got messy, I said calmly. No one laughed. No one moved. Because they understood. All of it. At once. I stepped further inside. Put a folder on the table. Opened it. Inside, everything. Times. Locations. Patterns. Proof. Not just for them. For her. Because she was next. I looked at both of them. Stay, I said. Not a command. A statement. Then I turned around. And left. Because this wasn't the main event. This was just the setup. 15 minutes later, I was at the second location. Her next slot. Right on time. I didn't wait. Didn't knock. I walked in. And there she was. Exactly where she was supposed to be. Like everything was still under control. Like her system was still working. Until she saw me. And everything changed. Not slowly. All at once. Because she realized something immediately. This wasn't random. This wasn't a mistake. This was planned. I stepped aside slightly. And a second later, the two men walked in behind me. That's when it collapsed. Completely. No more structure. No more timing. No more control. Just all of it in the same room. At the same time. Exactly where it was never supposed to happen. She looked at them. Then at me. Then back at them. Trying to process it. Trying to rebuild something in her head. But there was nothing left to rebuild. How long? One of them asked. Not to me. To her. She didn't answer. Couldn't. Because there was no answer that could fix this. No version of reality that made sense anymore. I placed another envelope on the table. Right in front of her. Divorce papers. Prepared. Final. I looked at her. Calm. Clear. You didn't make a mistake, I said. You built a system. I paused. Let it sink in. Then added, I just made sure it stopped working. Silence. Heavy. Final. I turned around. Walked out. Didn't wait. Didn't look back. Because endings like that don't need anything else. 3 months later, it was over. Clean. Quiet. Done. She tried to reach out. Explain. Apologize. But by then, it didn't matter. Because the moment I understood what she had built, I removed myself from it. Completely. And the worst part for her, she didn't lose control when I found out. She lost it when I took it back.